All right, I'm a little late about this one, but I still want to talk about it, man. Let's talk about Rudy Gobert. All right, so Rudy Gobert missed game two, the playoffs game two against Denver with the Wolves. He plays for the Wolves due to the birth of his child. The internet talking, everybody's giving the opinion, which is cool. All right. By the way, Rudy, well, he's engaged to a French girl named what's the name again? Julia Bonilla, something like that. Junior Bonilla. By the way, let me put up the picture of the girl so I can see it, right? So this is the girl here. I ain't gonna lie, he did good though. She's beautiful. Also, she's not like 3 or 4. She's not them 3 or 4 girls like most athletes been getting girls pregnant left and right. Them 3 or 4s, man. She's not one of them. So the girl's from France. She also has a podcast. That's her passion. She loves her podcast. The podcast is in French. I can check it out. You probably won't be able to understand. Too bad. Luckily, I do speak French. I do understand it. So I'll check it out sometimes. Maybe not. Anyways, but before I give you my opinion about it, about this situation, whatever going on, or whatever the internet is talking about, I did my research, right? Let me talk about Rudy's background, right? So Rudy was born in France in Saint Quentin. Saint Quentin is about 2 hours from Paris, which is the capital, right? He was born from a white mother and a black father. So the father mainly, stays in Guadeloupe. Guadeloupe is one of the French colonies. It's a little island. So he used to, both parents, the parents got split when he was 3 years old. They were not together anymore. So he used to make trips to Guadeloupe to visit his parents. I don't know. That was maybe during the summer or whatever. So you can tell it did not have that nuclear family growing up. Also, as I was doing my research, I couldn't find this piece of information, but someone I talked to told me that the day that Rudy was born, his father was not in the hospital. So you gotta understand, Rudy lives in America. He's been here for a while. He's making a lot of money as a basketball player. So he has the American culture. In America, not for everybody, not for all Americans, but for most Americans, it's very important for the father to be there on the day of the child's birth, right? It's important. People make a big deal. Some children are traumatized, when they tell them, okay, your father wasn't there when you were born. It's a big deal in America, right? Let me tell you about Africa, because I'm African. We're born and raised in Africa. Back home in Africa, especially in Congo, it's not a big deal though. Your dad doesn't have to be there, when your mom's giving birth to you or giving birth to a child, a woman, I'll say, giving birth to a child. The father does not have to be there. It's like a woman thing. You see a bunch of women around you, aunties, sisters, friends, even neighbors, they will be there. Man, you don't see man in hospital or maybe outside the room waiting for you to give. Nah, we don't do that, man. They stay home. They'll make a phone call just to check on you if everything's good. You know what I'm saying? And I know some kids that were born like, their father was in the house. At the bar drinking, getting drunk when the mother was in the hospital. That's not responsible. I don't agree with that, because anything can happen, man. It's a big event. It's a big event. So, like I say, it has to do with the culture too. Also, it has to do with your upbringing, and that's why I did a research before even speaking on the topic. I did a research about him. So I just wanted to understand why he did what he did. I'm not saying what he did was not good or was good, whatever. It's like based on everybody's upbringing, background, or preference. The only time I'll say that it's not, if let me say I want to say this. Let's say he was forced to be there by his fiance. That's when I'll be like, okay, man, that's a little fucked up because you initially you didn't even want to be there. You went there because of your fiance forced you to be there. That's where you went. That's not good. But if he personally wanted to be there without being forced, I personally don't see anything wrong with it, right? You also have to understand this is his first child. He probably wanted to be there for the experience, and based on his background, that his father, I didn't verify that, but somebody told me that if that's true, that his father was not there when he was born, so he didn't want to be that dad. He wanted to be better than his father, so he decided to be there for the birth of the child. I don't see anything wrong with it. Also, you gotta understand, right? During labor, it's a lot of work. There's a lot of things going on in the woman's body. So his presence, I believe, he helped a lot. Just you being there when your child is born or during the birth of your child, mentally it does something to the woman. You there maybe holding your woman's hand, maybe talking to her, trying to make her laugh. Mentally, it helps a lot. It helps the process though. Then you not being there. So I'm looking all this. I'm like, okay, I don't see anything wrong with it because he got mocked by, he got mocked by fans. So I'm like, okay, you gotta understand the situation though. Family is more important than anything. Let's just put it this way, right? Let's say you're a basketball player, few hours because the child was born like few hours before the game, which is very, it's just like, dang, it's unfortunate. Fortunate at the same time, fortunate for the game, him missing the game, right? So let's say before the game, few hours, you're a basketball player, a few hours before the game, you get a call, your child got into a car accident. Are you still gonna be able to play the game? Probably not, because you can't focus though. You can't focus because like, yo, all right, somebody's in a critical condition right now, or somebody's in a bad condition, something happened to my child. Morally, you won't be in the game. Morally, like your mental or even your physics, nothing's gonna be there because you're gonna be completely like out of everything around you at that moment, and you want to be, your initial, I'll say, how can I say, you want to be there. You want to be assist your child. You want to see what's going on because sometimes you feel like, or you think if you're there, you might help the situation. You might make the situation better. It's the same thing. You might say, oh, that's too extreme. An accident, that's somebody in pain, something that's a bad news, whatever. But you gotta understand, they both are news. A woman giving birth to a child, it's a news. Although it's a good news, but some people want to be there for any type of news. Some people, they don't mind being there if it's a good or bad news because you also feel like you see gonna be you're gonna play a role in that situation to help things, to make things a little better. If I'm making myself clear here. So I don't think that was a big deal for him to be there, even though people are talking, oh bro, it's just a game. The only time, like I say, if he was forced to be there, yeah, that's when it's fucked up. But if he was not forced, he wanted to be there, man. What is wrong with it? There's nothing wrong with it. You gotta understand though, this is his first child. He never had that before. He probably been dreaming about this day forever. Finally just happened, and you want him to miss that though? Think about it, right? It's basketball. I know that's how he makes his money. It's a game. Okay, I get it. It's business for the team, whatever. That's how they make the money. But luckily, they won the game. Luckily, they have won that game. But they have a lot of players. They have a lot of players. Somebody can replace me easy. Let's just think about it like this, right? Let's say he was injured. He got injured. He couldn't play. It's almost the same thing. Him missing that game, it's not a big deal. But I'm just, let me just think out loud. Let's say if that was like a final game 7. Do you think he's going to miss that game? Honestly, if I had a chance to talk to him though, I'll ask him that question. Let's say, hey, I'll say, Rudy, man, let's say this is game 7. If you guys win, you get a ring, all that. Will you still, miss the game 7, final? Damn. Hopefully he watches this, man. He can at least, respond in maybe in a different podcast. But yeah, that's what I see it, man. To me, I don't see this as a big deal though. I don't see it as a big deal because you never know down the road. I don't wish that, but down the road they might not be together. In America, it's a big deal. Like I said at the beginning, man, the woman might tell the child that, oh, your father wasn't even there when you were born, and for that child, he might take it very, very personal. That might, destroyed the relationship between him, between the father and the child. Because in America, it's a big deal. Like someone like me, an African, my mom can come to me, be like, yo, your dad wasn't there when you were born. I'll be like, okay, so what you trying to say? Okay, it's fine though. I'm still here. I'm living. I'm fine. People. I think we should worry more about, like, personally, I'll say this, right? Personally, I don't see anything wrong with it. I'm not gonna say it is right or wrong. It's right or wrong. Like, you do what you feel like is good for you. Some people want the experience. Some people, you never know, their wife needs them to be there for emotional support. Some people, they were born in this American culture. Their dad wasn't there when they were born, so they want to be there for the child. They want to do better than the father. So I think it just depends who you are. It depends of your upbringing. It depends of your culture, all that. So we should not blame him for that, though. And I'm not blaming people who say it's just a game, you should not be there. I'm not blaming those people, because those people, they're speaking from their perspective, based on their background, based on their upbringing, based on their beliefs. So I'm not blaming them. But the fact that he did that, I'm not gonna blame him because of that. To me, I'm like, you do it, cool. You do it, fine. Whatever you wanna do, it's on you. It's not a big deal.